Last night, in just his second start for the club this season, Alejandro Garnacho grabbed himself 4 goal contributions. Now I know people will say it was only Barnsley, but for me that level of display and performance warrants a match breakdown. So let's take a look. So today we are not wasting any time, we are getting straight into this, looking at what Garnacho done well. And what you might be expecting me to talk about is his final third work, his goals, his assists, his end product. And don't worry, we will get there eventually. But I actually want to start with his work in the deeper areas, the deep phase of the Manchester United possession setup. Because this isn't what we normally expect with Garnacho. We don't really normally talk about him in these areas. But Garnacho done some really good work helping us move the ball out from the back. And like I said, we don't normally expect this. So what was he doing? Basically, he was dropping into these positions, providing that extra number for United. And we know what United like to try and do from here. Work the ball in tight spaces. We see a lot of 1-2s, close work, and ball protection. You know, sometimes you've got to hold off an opposition player, be strong, use your upper body, and then eventually the aim for United is ultimately to try and get the ball shifting to the far side, where we then eventually have a player in space. And like I said, we don't associate this with Garnacho. In fact, we would normally perhaps label it as a weakness, and we often make the argument that Marcus Rashford is therefore the better option for United, because he is the better passing winger. But Garnacho really started to show something last night with his work protecting the ball, but also bringing others into the game. And it starts in these deep positions, where first of all he recognises the danger. He is willing to drop a little bit deeper for his team and get on the ball here. What I love after that is the upper body strength, using his upper body, using his arms to keep the opponent away from the ball. And then after that, he's just going to play a really simple pass. It's nothing out of this world, but it's really useful for United, and it was a sign of what he was going to do in this game, because he continued to do this work. Once again, dropping deep with the ball on the left-hand side, keeping the ball. It's very mature. Again, not something we always associate with him. This was a mature, level-headed performance, and I actually thought he showcased quite a nice passing range in this game, kind of popping the ball from the left-hand side towards the right on a regular basis, and you can see the advantage that it brings us. Dalot now has room to step forward with the ball into midfield. And Garnacho, to put it simply, just kept doing it. Again, deep on the left-hand side, he's going to move inside towards the right, drawing the attention of the opposition defender, before eventually releasing the ball to the far side. Again, this is a really good ball to Anthony, and it's easy to control. And then this is the big one. The big one. This switch to Marcus Rashford is just gorgeous. It's such a good pass out towards this right-hand side. Of course, Rashford does the work from there. It's a really good goal, but Garnacho deserves so much credit for that. If he can start doing this on a regular basis, oh wow, he could start becoming a very complete player. Again, I know it was only Barnsley, but this looked good. Now, of course, all of that deep work is nice, but we cannot talk about Garnacho and this performance without talking about his threat going the other way. It's nice seeing him in these deep positions, but ultimately, you want him getting forward because his threat is absolutely insane. Now, again, we should start by saying that Barnsley were very naive, they gave us way too much room, but Garnacho certainly took advantage of that. And I felt what we saw in this game was the benefit of Garnacho not playing too much football so far this season. The fact that physically we have rested him a little bit. He looked like he really came alive in this performance. And that is because physically he's had a break. Last season he played so many games in a row. By the end of the season he'd lost it a little bit. He didn't have that same acceleration, the same spark. He looked tired. This season that's not the case. He is fresh and red hot. And just ready to go at players. Ready to attack space. We saw it for his goal. Breaking into the open space in the opposition half. And I said it in my video this morning. I really like the finish from him. Last season, he was a bit rash in these situations at times. He didn't score these often enough. This is a really good sign. This was a confidence. There was a, I hate to say it, aura about the way that he took this chance. It was very calm, very composed. He'd done it all at his own pace. The keeper stayed big. Didn't matter for Garnacho. He just wraps that ball into the corner. It's a really nice goal. But it's not like he just done this once. He kept going. He is always that threat in behind. And that's a massive credit to a player. Someone who is just always, no matter what, a problem. Garnacho is exactly that. What I liked as well though, is here. He's getting his head up. He's looking for his teammate. He's not being selfish. He could have got his head down here and attacked the fullback. But he's looking for a teammate. And eventually actually tries the pass with the outside of the right foot. Now unfortunately it doesn't quite come off. The keeper collects. But you can see what he was going for there. He was trying to find Rashford. And that threat is just always there. Again, Rashford drops deep on this occasion, doing the job of more of a linking striker. And that gives Garnacho the license to absolutely fly down that left wing. And he looked really, really quick last night. He looked speedy attacking these spaces in behind the left side of the defence. Now again, on this occasion, the final ball wasn't quite right, but I love that two-way threat. He can come towards the ball and help us keep the ball, but then he can spin, go the other way, and be direct and dynamic. It's a great sign. Now we've actually just seen a couple of clips there where the final ball didn't quite come off for Garnacho. He didn't have that final pass in his locker. However, despite that, I still think he had a pretty good game with his work in the final third and his end product, and I liked what I was seeing. Again, we saw a very selfless player getting his head up, looking for options on the ball, and what he seemed particularly keen on doing was playing this sort of reverse ball in behind this right centre-back for Rashford to run onto. Later in the game it was Bruno running into these positions, but there was a really nice understanding between these two, Garnacho and Rashford. A lot of people like to put them against each other. This one's better than this one. It doesn't matter. When you can get them on the pitch together and they can both perform, that's really exciting. And they gelled and worked really nicely. Rashford could pull out wide, it would give Garnacho space, they could do it the other way around. It was really dangerous. But what I love, again, for a young player, is Garnacho is starting to get his head up a little bit more. Or he certainly did in this game. Getting his head up, looking for passing options, not just taking the fullback on every time. And here is genuine game intelligence. He recognises the movement of Xerxes. Xerxes runs in behind, and that drags that defender deeper, opening up the space for Garnacho to play the ball inside. Again, it is nothing particularly extravagant, but it is good, selfless play. He's looking for his teammates. But it actually got better, because this is where I loved him, playing this reverse ball. Again, we have to look at Barnsley. What are they doing? I don't know. They've just lost the ball deep. They're in all sorts of bother. But Garnacho, the decision to not rush the pass, to take a touch, to slow it down. He could have gone first time to Rashford here, but it would have been a more difficult pass. He actually waits for Rashford to move further across the defence before then eventually releasing the ball. And ultimately, he times it to perfection. And Marcus Rashford does really well with the left-footed finish. Nice to see him taking that on his weaker foot. But it's all about Garnacho for me. It is all about his work in these areas. Again, he could be selfish here. Not even selfish, just adventurous, or audacious. He could take on the fullback. Even in a 1v2, he'd back himself, he can take him on. But he doesn't, he looks for that runner. And again, he finds him. Marcus Rashford getting into a really good position towards the byline. And it just kept happening in this game, right up until the latter stages. Garnacho left, he's got space. There is space there. Garnacho could go in there if he wanted to. If he wanted to. He can dribble, he could go at this guy. Particularly playing with a confidence and a swagger. He could take him on, but he doesn't. He sees the run of Bruno Fernandes, he slips the ball through to Bruno, Bruno cuts the ball back to Eriksen, and Eriksen puts the ball into the back of the net. Again, as much as it was electric and exciting and almost frightening what Garnacho was doing, it was actually a lot of the time really level-headed, really calm, really mature, and actually quite intelligent. For me, this intelligence in particular was actually really captured when he didn't have the ball, when in fact a teammate had the ball and Garnacho needs to make a run, he needs to make himself an option. What I loved was him getting towards the penalty area, getting towards the penalty spot, the danger area. He scored a goal from a similar position against Southampton. Get him into these positions. We discussed it in a video this morning, how United looked to get their attackers really close to each other, and Garnacho was very much a big part of that. Moving inside into these positions, giving us a genuine goal threat. You could argue if Antony's got the ball wide on the right hand side and Rashford's the only one in the middle, you could argue it's a little bit toothless. Obviously Rashford is a massive threat, but by himself in the box, you can mark him out of the game. If you suddenly start getting players in and around, attacking that penalty area from the far side, it is surprising how many goals you will get in a season from doing this. Tap in some of them really easy goals, but we saw it from Garnacho. Like we said, we saw it against the weekend against Southampton for that late goal, and we saw it again here. Antony and Dalot combine down the right hand side. Eriksen makes the run into the penalty area towards the goalkeeper, which drags the defence back. And Garnacho is really clever. He actually barely moves, but he just hangs about in this position here. Sometimes the best movement is no movement, just hanging in an area. And he gets himself a really nice bit of space here. And I believe he gets the shot off, but eventually gets charged down. It's good. It's really good from Garnacho. But this wasn't a one-off. We saw it again. Ball down the right-hand side. Garnacho is in that exact same zone again. Hanging between the penalty spot and the edge of the penalty area. The run in the middle makes the room. Garnacho is there. This was the chance for the hat-trick. I am gutted for him that he didn't guess it. He probably, I don't know, should he score? Maybe. I think it's more difficult than it looks because the ball is bouncing up. But that intelligence showed to me just a real maturity. And then sort of to cap it all off, we're talking about maturity, we're talking about good decisions. There's then actually just work rate and mentality. This is, you know, ultimately an easy game for Manchester United, or it certainly ends up that way. United are comfortable. But Garnacho is always looking to do the defensive work for his team. He's putting a shift in, he's trying to get across, he's trying to close players down. He may not always be successful in the tackle, perhaps that's where he needs work. I'm sure he'll get better there. But this mentality, to be this relentless, this is now in the second half. Relentless pressing. Relentlessly trying to do his job. And again, a lot of that is because Erik ten Hag has managed him so well. He is now this fresh, energetic player, which is exactly what he should be. The problem now is you can't drop him, because what a performance. It's a headache for Erik ten Hag, but it's a great headache to have. Rashford looks good at the moment, Ahmad does, and I tell you what, Garnacho last night was absolutely phenomenal. And I'm really excited about what I saw. But those are just my thoughts. I now want to hear yours in the comments down below. So get in the comments. What did you like about Garnacho? What does he still need to work on moving forward? Was he your man of the match? Let me know what you think. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.